Go woke, go broke apparently is no joke. That's what they're finding out all across the video game industry, and specifically when it comes to Sony. So many are losing their jobs and going home, but is it all due to the culture war, or is there something even more important that we should note? Folks, it's time to dive deep into what's going on with our digital entertainment. Hello folks, welcome back to the Pro Channel. Happy to have each and every one of you out there with us. And we are here, of course, to explain entertainment, keep you ahead of the culture curve. And when that culture curve is happening, even in the gaming industry, we are here to cover it. That's what's going on with Sony, with PlayStation, with the studios that make the fun that you enjoy when you have that controller in your hands. Folks, we're going to get to the news, but first let's bring on the panel. It's time for pure entertainment analysis excellence. Today, Sony Interactive Entertainment initiated a reduction in our workforce. I think they might be calling that right-sizing. I hear that's the new terminology as these corporations do this. They're right-sizing, including within PlayStation Studios. And that's Herman Hulst, wanted to talk about the impact that we'll have. These decisions have been extremely difficult, but they are necessary, and I think it's important to be transparent, especially since I'm not losing my job. U.S.-based studios are groups impacted by a reduction in workforce are Insomniac Games, Naughty Dog, as well as our technology, creative, and support teams. In UK and Europe-based studios, it is proposed that PlayStation Studios London studio will close in its entirety, that there will be reductions in Gorilla and Firesprite. There are, in addition to some smaller reductions in other teams across PlayStation Studios, and it goes on to talk about that more. Let's see now what The Hollywood Reporter has to say about it. Sony lays off 900 employees in gaming division. We have concluded that tough decisions have become inevitable. Sony Interactive CEO Jim Ryan wrote to employees Tuesday. Sony is the latest tech and gaming giant to undergo a significant round of layoffs. The company's Sony Interactive Entertainment unit is cutting 8% of its total workforce. The division includes Sony's PlayStation devices as well as multiple game development studios. It goes on to talk about more of those difficult decisions having to be made. Going down in the article just a wee bit, it says layoffs have hammered the gaming industry over the past few months as companies adapt to the current economic environment, which we're all told is supposed to be good, but apparently we were wrong. I don't know. Wall Street seems to think everything's dandy. Sony's biggest competitor in the space, Microsoft, cut 1,900 employees last month after completing the acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Twitter mode engaged. Elsewhere, Fortnite studio Epic Games cut 830 jobs late last year, while Riot Games, the producer of League of Legends, cut 830 jobs last month. All of this is coming on the heels of people looking and seeing AI doing far more with what people had been doing manually. And I'm interested in seeing how this is going to impact animators within the Disney organization and Entertainment Beyond in just short order. But I want to go to the panel first. And guys, tell me what you think is driving this. John, I'll let you go first. We kind of had a topic earlier that was more difficult for you to weigh in on the Disney parks. John, what do you think is the impetus for this, what would you say, annihilation of the workforce in video games?
Yeah, I think it's a failure of PlayStation 5. I don't think that gamers actually embrace that platform at all. I think they got smoked by Nintendo Switch, and that's what people are still buying. And they're having to make massive cuts because people just weren't embracing the purchase of PlayStation 5. I mean, what do they really have on PlayStation 5 that people want to actually play? I guess Hogwarts Legacy is probably the only thing that's really out there. But if you waited a little bit, you could have got it on Nintendo Switch anyways. So I think this is probably the main impetus for why Sony is making these cuts at PlayStation, is because they have the PlayStation 5 is a failure.
John, is there anything related to the culture war that's impacting this? Did Nintendo choose wisely, or is this simply about market analysis and the movement of where people chose to place their money with various platforms?
I think it probably has more to do with the market and then the platform and everything like that. But obviously you can point to certain games, like obviously you're looking at those studios they're talking about, Insomniac Games, very well criticized for what they did in Marvel's Spider-Man 2, with all the Mary Jane stuff and including Miles Morales and all that stuff. And then obviously Naughty Dog with what they did with The Last of Us Part 2 and everything like that. And then you can also look at Guerrilla Games and Horizon, and how there was all the criticisms about how they redesigned Aloy and things like that. Those are some of the big studios that they said are getting cut, and those are some of the games that I think probably didn't perform as well as they would have liked to have seen them perform, especially Marvel Spider-Man 2, massive underperformance compared to the first game, if I recall. So I definitely think that probably plays into it. But whether or not those people that were involved in that are going to get cut, I don't think that's going to happen. I think Lou has an absolutely amazing piece that he wrote this morning. Obviously, he's talking about film and TV studio productions, but I think you can also apply it to video games. And video game companies have been infected by these ideologues that run a lot of these companies or are heavily entrenched in these companies and make a lot of these decisions. I think Sweet Baby Inc. has obviously a consultant on a lot of these games. It's been well documented on their influences and what they're trying to do. And even if you're reducing 8% of their staff, 900 employees, you know that there's a lot of these ideologues still going to be there at a lot of these development companies now moving forward. So I think what Lou's proposal, maybe I'll let Lou speak to it, but I thought his proposal.
Oh well, thank you very much. That is not the one about the topic we're going to do later, gang. This is a different piece that I just think about a little and express myself, and I gave it to John and said, if you think this fits, use it. If you don't, also fine. And I'm happy to hear that he has. So you can all go read that on that Park Place. And what I basically said is, in the best case scenario, and I was talking about movies and Disney, if you had these movies finally start making money a little, how's that going to happen as far as all the reshoots and the fixes if the people doing the fixing are the people that caused the problem? It's just not. Anyway, you'll see. You'll read the article in more detail.
Sweet baby effect culture.
Well, I mean, they've really kind of destroyed gaming. Each and every studio that they've infected with their mind virus has basically destroyed the games that were involved. The two founders over at the studios that just released the DC game that everybody's now ignoring and not playing. What is it? The Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. That
may have destroyed an entire studio, by the way.
Well, it did, because the founders left and started a new studio. they not only that, it ended up delaying the game for almost 2 years, adding all of the garbage in. So the Sweet Baby effect literally has destroyed gaming from the inside out. And one of the biggest problems is they let people in the door at these gaming studios that A, didn't have the chops to be there, and B, were primarily there because they're activists. So they're there to replace the people who actually do the work. And the reason that the layoffs are necessary is because you have a bunch of people that are doing jobs that aren't required because they aren't doing the jobs. It's the same reason why you can get rid of 3/4 of Twitter and have it be much better off. It's the same thing. And look, games used to be made, AAA games, 5A titles, whatever you want to call them, the top end games used to be made by studios of about 350 people max. They didn't need that many people. If you look through the history of Bethesda or through Rockstar or any of the premium tier studios, or what we used to consider premium tier studios, they didn't have that many employees. They didn't need them. And they all focused on getting the job done, not on like, are we going to celebrate, Purple Monkey Day or whatever.
Well, and what you're saying about not needing the people, look at how many people show up in the credits of a zillion-dollar Disney superhero flop, and look at the story we heard about how many special effects people there were on Godzilla -1.
Yeah.
And somehow they managed to make a movie. Golly, what a shock.
Yeah.
So
what was it, 35 people, 40 people, something like that?
We don't frequent that part of the web, I don't think, but who knows?
No.
All right, out of Corey Smith for $10, out of the mind of one Corey Smith. Very interesting. Insomniac and Naughty Dog are the ones getting hit the hardest, considering that they were the two that had Sweet Baby Inc. ruin their latest releases of The Last of Us Part 2 and Spider-Man 2. And that is not lost on me, and it's not lost on me as well that Sweet Baby seems to have destroyed another studio responsible for another franchise, that being the Arkham games and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. This has to stop. I mean, I don't guess it has to stop, but people are going to stop buying games as soon as they realize that it's associated with this brand of wokeism. And folks, that is a wrap for today. Game over for this video, but before you go, before the credits roll, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and when you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And don't forget to potentially, if you are not yet a member, consider maybe joining the channel. It's only the cost of a soda per month, and you gain access to all kinds of amazing exclusive content that you will not find anywhere else. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.